So this game is definitely really complicated, and I can understand how it can be overwhelming to people who don't treat it like a 9 to 5 job. Sometimes rulings can be really tricky and honestly all over the place. Or sometimes you might actually miss out on really unique interactions that work in a specific way. So my goal today is to hook you up with as many useful pointers as possible that'll save your life when playing the game. But of course, before this video starts, you already know it. Friendly reminder to smash the like and subscribe button. Thank you so much, I absolutely love you, and now let's get started. Alright, so first things first, just how weird is Unchained Soul of Rage ruling-wise? It can definitely catch a lot of people off guard since it might not necessarily work the way you think it does. The effect to link using your opponent's monster is really interesting because it actually inherently plays around a bunch of things. For example, if you link off your opponent's Shizuku with your Unchained Soul of Rage, even if your opponent has a Ray in the graveyard, your opponent's Ray will not be able to trigger. The reason for that is because the Shizuku left the field to conduct a link summon, not really because of the effect of Unchained Soul of Rage. With that said, you still cannot use monsters that are unaffected by card effects to link off using Unchained Soul of Rage because you still have to use them as link materials using the effect of Unchained Soul of Rage. Yeah, it's really confusing for no reason. But basically what you need to know is that it is an effect that makes your opponent's monsters that trigger when they are sent to the graveyard by a card effect not trigger. Very, very interesting. Well, now that we're still on the topic of Unchained, let's cover the unique interaction between purely Happy Memory and the Unchained cards. It's nothing too extraordinary, but funny enough, you can actually protect your opponent's cards with your Happy Memory so that your opponent doesn't actually get to destroy himself and doesn't really get to do much. Because you know, nothing's more oppressive than protecting your opponent from killing himself. Yeah, I know, we're sticking out of context. I can't believe we've got to a point where destroying your own cards is actually a good thing. But yeah, I mean, the Purely deck is a really good counter to the Unchained deck because you can also dodge their trap card that destroys their cards simply with the effect of Happy Memory. So yeah, Happy can be used both offensively and also defensively, which is really good to know. Anyways, a less obvious interaction that a lot of people might not necessarily know is the interaction between Triple Tactic Talents and Guardian Chimera. Let's just say that you use Triple Tactic Talents to steal an opponent's monster, doesn't target by the way, and your opponent chains branded in red and summons Guardian Chimera. So chain resolves backwards, the Guardian Chimera summoned, and then in Chain Link 1, the Talents resolves to steal the Guardian Chimera. Now what happens? So now, oddly enough, even though you are now the owner of Guardian Chimera since you stole it from your opponent can still actually use it on your field. I'll be honest with you, I actually think this is in my top 5 worst rulings of all time because I actually just don't think it makes any sense. The worst part is, this ruling is also relevant with other kind of situations. So the exact same can be said if you use Triple Tactic Talents and your opponent links off a Masquerena into Unicorn. You steal the Unicorn and then your opponent gets to use the effect of Unicorn on your field to shuffle back one of your cards. Yeah, that's kind of sus to be honest. It is what it is at this point, you just have to be aware of it and adapt. It could both be in your favor and against you depending on the context. Okay, so the next one is really interesting and I rarely see people do this. What if I use Gigantic Sprites effect and my opponent chains Infinite Impermanence or Nibiru in response and I chain Book of Moon or Book of Eclipse on myself? Will I still be able to resolve Gigantic? The question is not if it's getting negated by Imperm or if it's getting tributed by Nibiru. Face down monsters never get their effect negated and also only face up monsters get tributed for Nibiru. The real question is, can Gigantic resolve to detach a material while it's face down? I mean, are face down monsters even treated as Xyz monsters and are they treated as having Xyz materials? No and yes. So face down monsters do not really have an identity. All we really know about them since they're private knowledge is that they're monsters. So with that said, a face down monster is never an Xyz monster, but if it has Xyz materials, it still has Xyz materials. So unless it very specifically states that you have to detach Xyz materials from an Xyz monster, you actually can. So yeah, that's a great way of playing around Nibiru and Imperm. Anyways, the last ruling / interaction is something that's been confusing the crap out of everyone ever since Kashtira was a thing. Scareclaw Kashtira is both a very simple and complicated card at the same time. I mean, most of the time, it's not really doing weird things, you're really just summoning it and that's it. But when it is doing sussy things, you really have to be aware. Let's just say that you have both Fenrir and Scareclaw Kashtira on your board. You go battle phase, your Fenrir is now attacking over a Magispectre Bunbuku. Bunbuku is unaffected by card effects and Fenrir has to target to banish, so if you're attacking over the Bunbuku, can you use Fenrir's effect to banish the Bunbuku? Well, the answer is yes, because your Kashtira or Scareclaw monster is battling an opponent's monster even when it is just declaring an attack, which means that the Scareclaw will be negating the Bunbuku. So that way you can banish it and then redeclare an attack either directly or an opponent's monster. The battle step is one of the most complicated things about this game, and to be fair, you really don't need to know everything about it. With that said, cards like Scareclaw Kashtira kind of force you to step up your game ruling wise. Anyways, that's all I had for this video, so guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys very, very soon. Peace.